In the Russian city of Sochi, a taxi driver recorded an angry video complaining about a nighttime internet outage. His video quickly went viral on social media and became a reflection of Russia's growing frustration with increasingly stringent controls on the internet. Here in Sochi and Rostov, as far as I know, in Krasnodar after 10 p.m. and today from 8, they completely block the connection. Nothing works for us except VK and something else there. Operators, MTS, Beeline, Megaphone and the rest. I want to tell you, this is your concern. You are obliged. Right now there is no access to the internet, and this is not our problem. As consumers, I pay for the internet. Are you sure you have it right there? We pay $1,000, and you should compensate people 500 rubles from his money for the fact that the main part of the internet is without service at night. It is your problem that they disconnect or turn off. I, as a consumer, do not care. Absolutely, return the money to the people. Everyone whose connection does not work in the evening, the Russian demanded. In reality, telecom operators have nothing to do with what's happening. They're simply following orders from the Kremlin, which is imposing blockages under the pretext of wartime and protecting citizens. In reality, this is an attempt to further isolate Russians from independent information sources and strengthen censorship. Even popular messaging apps are under attack. Russian authorities have already begun restricting the operation of Telegram and WhatsApp. All that remains accessible are propaganda platforms like VK and services completely controlled by the state. Clearly, the nighttime shutdowns are just the beginning. Russia is gradually moving toward a closed internet model where any external source of information will be blocked. In effect, citizens are being gradually deprived of the opportunity to know the truth about what's happening inside and outside the country. Earlier, media reported that a Tyumen resident complained about complete isolation. Tyumen, one of Siberia's largest cities, was suddenly left without mobile internet service in the 4th year of the war. POS terminals are down in stores and people are forced to revert to cash. The Kremlin is plunging Russia into digital isolation, cutting off access to information. People can't pay for groceries, call a taxi, or even connect to Wi-Fi. Modern habits, online payments, navigation, music are unavailable. We're isolated. I just leave the house. My phone bricks because nothing works. I go to the gas station and need a card because the mobile data isn't working. I just went to a coffee shop and couldn't pay because their payment terminal isn't working, because the mobile data isn't working. Their Wi-Fi isn't working either. I just left empty-handed because I needed cash. I'm sitting in my car listening to the radio now. Because my internet isn't working, I can't listen to my favorite songs, complained a Tyumen resident. It's worth noting that Tyumen isn't a frontline region, but deep Siberia, where life would seem to be peaceful. But even there, disruptions are increasingly common, sending Russians back to the last century. While the authorities remain silent, residents are learning to live anew, without communication, without banking apps, and without news, but with Kremlin-controlled radio and television. The war, which Russians largely tacitly supported, has given Russian dictator Vladimir Putin the opportunity to tighten the screws within the country.
Dick Cheney, the hard-charging conservative who became one of the most powerful and polarizing vice presidents in U.S. history and a leading advocate for the invasion of Iraq, has died at age 84. According to Associated Press, the quietly forceful Cheney served father and son presidents, leading the armed forces as defense chief during the Persian Gulf War under President George H.W. Bush before returning to public life as vice president under his son George W. Bush. Cheney was, in effect, the chief operating officer of the younger Bush's presidency. He had a hand, often a commanding one, in implementing decisions most important to the president and some of surpassing interest to himself, all while living with decades of heart disease and, post-administration, a heart transplant. Cheney consistently defended the extraordinary tools of surveillance, detention, and inquisition employed in response to the terror attacks of September 11, 2001. A hardliner on Iraq who was increasingly isolated as other hawks left government, Cheney was proved wrong on point after point in the Iraq War, without ever losing the conviction that he was essentially right. He alleged links between the 2001 terrorist attacks and pre-war Iraq that didn't exist. He said US troops would be welcomed as liberators. They weren't. A survivor of 5 heart attacks, he'd long thought he was living on borrowed time and declared in 2013 he now awoke each morning with a smile on my face, thankful for the gift of another day, an odd image for a figure who always seemed to be manning the ramparts. His political career in Washington spanned several administrations, including Gerald Ford and Ronald Reagan. And politics was clearly in the family. His daughter Liz Cheney was elected to Congress as Wyoming representative in the House and soon rose to the position of House Republican Conference Chair. However, her vote in January 2021 for the impeachment of President Donald Trump after the January 6 riot at the Capitol earned her praise for her courageous stance from many Democrats and political observers outside Congress. But the Wyoming GOP voted overwhelmingly to censure her, and House Republicans booted her from her role as conference chair. Cheney's other daughter Mary is a lesbian, and because of that, Cheney was one of the rare politicians to support gay rights early on.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
Thank you, sir. I have a gay daughter, so it's an issue that our family is very familiar with. We have 2 daughters, and we have enormous pride in both of them.
Right, guys. What are you priming? Come on, guys. Watch the stage.
I think that the future of the country is at stake.
Right.
And there are moments when we all have to come together.